Hi guys, how's it going? This is Nova Strike from Primal Fear, one of the moderators for Primal Fear. I'm making this video for in terms of spawns and in terms of any kind of stuff that needs to be done in Primal Fear that a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions. I'm hoping that this video will make it very easy for people to understand how to modify the spawn codes, how to change up the polling system, how to do the for S plus that is, and doing a whole bunch of other things with Primal Fear. And I'll go through each tab so that it makes it pretty simple and pretty straightforward for everybody here. All right, so to start off, what you need to do is you need to go to the Google Doc, which is located um, right here. This is what the doc looks like when you open it up. You can find it on Discord under, here, I'll pop it up. You can find it right here underneath the, I'm just getting it, just a minute. Mod information. So here's the mod information right here. You can see right here the information tab right here under Primal Fear. If you scroll up, you'll see it's the very first document right here. This is what you need to get to. Once you click on that, then you can go on and move on from there. There's other information in here that is very useful too that Pikkon and myself have been updating and putting in here. For example, the Primal Fear Origin Dinos Tech Learning, where all the tech that all the dinos unlock if you kill all these origins. It gives you all that stuff. There will be some changes later down the road, but this is basically all the stuff that we're going to be putting in to make this work and stuff. Again, Pikkon ended up putting down Google Doc again right here. And right here is our official wiki page. This is also a very handy page to keep an eye on too. It was done by Lightspinner94. She did an amazing job. She put in everything, descriptions, the base mod, everything's in here. If you need any information on any of the dinos and you can't use the Google Doc right here, I really suggest you use the Primal Fear wiki. The wiki has been done for over a year, and I truly recommend looking through here. It has everything you need to know. There's still a little bit of work in progress on here and there, but for the most part, everything is labeled and everything is ready to go. But anyways, going back to the Primal Fear doc here. One thing you gotta consider when you're looking at it, sometimes the menu is posted down here instead of up here. So keep an eye on that. Like just keep an eye on like where I'm clicking and stuff, and follow through with me as much as you can. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about the spawning balancing codes. Now, a lot of people keep asking me, well, how do the codes work? How does this all work and everything? Like, I don't understand this. Well, it's pretty simple and straightforward. This code right here that you see located here saying dino spawn weight multipliers, this is basically what you need to do to spawn your dinos in. Right now, they're set to default of what Primal Fear is set to right now. Now, what's the spawn weight multiplier you're asking? Well, the spawn weight multiplier is how many dinos are going to be spawning in um, over a percentage of like over the maximum percentage of whatever, not percentage, but the times amount of dinos that comes in. So, for example, right now this is set to 0.05, which means that this is going to be spawning really, really rare. Um, I mean, it's not as rare as, like, let's say if we go down to the Celestials, which are 0.0225, but they spawn at a very low rate. This is set up for by Pikkon's mod because he wanted the dinos to spawn in at a lower rate and become rare. But if you want something that's like more populated in your server and stuff, this is what you got to do. Pretty much, you just take the link, you copy over the whole thing. I suggest just going through the whole list and just copy every single one, and just paste it right into into a Google Doc, or not a Google, sorry, a Notepad, or something that will work for you. So, for example, um, I have right here. Uh, a game.ini file that I've already posted some of the stuff in here. I'll just scroll all the way down. Oh yeah, okay. So I don't have the stuff in here, but that's fine. Let's take this for an example. So you're gonna take the line here of let's say for this alpha aloe, you're gonna copy. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. That's my bad. Here we go. You're gonna go to here. You're gonna copy this line here. You're gonna go to your game.ini. This doesn't say game.ini, but because this is an example, but you're gonna go to your game.ini in your server files or your single player, and you're gonna post this right at the bottom of your file. Doesn't matter if there's spaces in between. So I'm gonna post it right down here, as you can see right down there. Here I will bring the page up so that you can see it a little bit better. So right there, there's our line right there. Now, like I said, this is going to be spawned at the default value. Um, you could set this to whatever number you would like. You can have this at 2. You could have it at 3. You could have it 4. You could have it at 15. It doesn't matter. The thing is, the higher the number you have there, the more dinos you're going to see of that specific type. What I suggest you do is if you want it to be like just a tiny bit more dinos than normal, I would probably put it at 0.5 because 0.05 is quite low, but if you put it at 0.5, that brings it up by about just maybe a tad more. I would say about maybe 15 to 20 of those specific dinos in the whole map. So that's not bad. Some people can go as crazy as going, let's say 4 times. 4 times means that you're probably you're gonna look at close to 300 to 400 of that specific dino all over the map. But I strongly suggest don't going no going above one on that, just because the alphas and everything, you don't want too many alphas. Too many alphas is going to eat up too many of the spawn rates, because how Ark works is you have a max amount of dinos in the whole map, and inside the map you can only hold X amount of dinos in there. And when you're taking a spawn weight of what you see here, of this dino spawn weight multiplier, you're basically telling the game itself to spawn in more of those specific type of dinos in there, which means there will be more of these dinos that are here, but you're gonna have a lot less. You're gonna have a lot less of the vanilla or the other type of dinos there. So you're basically telling the game to spawn more of those in and less of the other dinos. So in turn, whenever you're turning up your spawn rates, everything else is gonna go lower. So just keep that in mind, that anytime you increase the spawn weight, it's going to bring it down lower. It's always going to keep balancing, because that's just how Ark works. Now, the percentage, the spawn limit percentage here, this can be set to whatever value you'd like as well, but only up to 1. Because as it says at the top here, I'm going to just go back to here. The numbers in here are between 100% and 0%. That means the spawn limit percentage. You can't go beyond 100%. If you go 2, 4, 6, any of those other numbers, it's not going to work. It's basically going to end up defaulting itself back to the default percentage of what Primal Fear has it set to. So the highest you can go is 1 on that. But this one, the spawn weight multiplier, you can change that to any value you like. That's what's going to affect the amount of dinos you have in your game. All right. So basically, what you want to do is you want to copy all those dinos that you want spawn in, and you just paste them like this. So the next line, let's say, I'm not getting enough. Let's say I'm not seeing any. Let's say I can't find any shine hordes. For some reason, I can't find any shine hordes in my server. So I'm going to copy that line. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to post that right here, right below that line. It doesn't matter the order. It doesn't matter where you paste it in there, just as long as it's one line per area. You can't do it like this. That will not work. You have to have it one per line. Once you put that in there, again, let's say, oh yeah, I'm not too happy with that number. Let's say I want it to be rare still, but I want to see at least like a few. So maybe I'll put this to 0.6, and then I'll change this to, let's say, 0.5. So that works, and then I'll look inside the game and see if my multiplier worked and all that stuff. This is not 100% working. Like it doesn't 100% always work to the way you want it to work. You have to log into the game and you have to check to see if it's spawning in those dinos. That's why it's very crucial that you change it a little bit at a time and not, oh, I'm gonna put like 100, because 100 could end up screwing up your server and it could potentially crash it, and you might not be able to get access to it at all. So it's always good to increase it by little increments at a time. Otherwise, you might crash the server completely. So that's how the spawn weights work in terms of Primal Fear and how you post them in there. I know it's a pain to be changing all the numbers for each single one, but there is a simple way of doing that. So let's say I'm going to copy all of this here. I know it's going to be a mess when I copy this, but I'll fix it quickly. It won't take too long. So I paste that all in there. And let's fix this. Almost done. The reason the Google Doc looks a little different on my computer is because I don't have it logged in properly. So once if I have it logged in properly, you'll see a difference. But anyways, now I've got all that fixed. Now there is a simple way of changing this. All you would have to do is you would have to copy this part right here. Whoops. Here. Undo. Sorry. I clicked the wrong button. Let's see here. Undo, undo. Oh, shoot. Okay, let me just fix this. Just a minute. Okay, well, anyways, I'm just going to fix this. I'm just going to take this completely out. All right. Okay, so there is a simple way of fixing this. Sorry about that. You just can Control C on the spawn weight multiplier. Now what you do is you go File, or sorry, not File. Where is it? Replace. So you want to go Edit, Replace. You want to find anything that says that, and you want to replace it with. You're going to paste the same thing in there, and let's change this to, well, let's say 0.7. So what you do is you go replace, 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 replace. Done. So all those have been replaced now. And I didn't have to click anything, just one button I had to click. So now it's all set to 0.7 all the way through. So now that's all completed and done, you're good to go. One thing I've noticed also in this doc, which I will fix as soon as I get access to it again, I've noticed that there's a space in between here. There should never ever be spaces in this. If there's ever a space in any of these, make sure you delete them, because anytime there's a space in between the dock, it will not the game will not pick it up. So that's a must, that you need to keep an eye on your dino spawns and make sure that they always have no spaces in between. If you have a space, you need to remove it. All right, so that's basically how the spawns work inside the game and all that kind of stuff. And and that just kind of gives you a general idea of how it all works. Generally, I would never increase, like I said, the alphas. I would go no more than one. Um, like the demonics and the celestials or any of the higher ones, you can go up to like two or three, three times. So like I can make this three times if I wanted. That will make it so that there's like, maybe 10 of those demonics on the map at all at one time. So, it's not an accurate number, but I'm just giving you an idea of like what I know in terms of spawns because I've worked with these for over a couple of years and I kind of understand how they all work. But anyway, so that's how that all works right there. Another thing I wanted to share was a couple things in here in the items, because a lot of people keep saying to me, "Well, where's the dino tags? Where's the where they tame? Where's all the meat? Where's the berries? What do they tame with? What do they do here and there?" It's all listed here in this Google Doc. Right here where this says taming food, you got your taming foods of every single type of dino right here. You've got all your default attacks here too, like for example. Right here, you can see that the Thyla, which obviously I can see it needs to be fixed here. There's a couple things obviously it needs to be fixed, but I'll fix it later, no problem. Um, let's see here. Where's a good? Here, the Fabled. So like the Grifficorn, for example, people always ask, well, what's the attack for, or what's the AOE healing, and what's the how does that all work and stuff? Well, you can see here with the X is all marked down, that they all do a specific thing. And if you scroll up, you see where it says left click, right click, C, and X, and left control. Those are all the buttons that the dinos can all work with. So you just got to look through this list, and if you see an X, that means that there's a special ability that works with one of those buttons there. Just remember to keep an eye on that doc and look at for anything like that, because maybe somebody has missed something. You forgot that there was an attack, or that dino had something. Like for example, the Reaper Empress has 5 different attacks, as it says right here. So test them all out, check what they all are. We don't have the full list of exactly what they do. You're gonna have to test them out and figure out what works and stuff, and what's the best attack and what you prefer. But yeah, those are basically all the different attacks that they have. And then when it comes to Celestials, they have a Control C power up, which is very useful for when you're fighting the bosses, because it gives you a full debuff, which means that any kind of debuffs that come after you or hit your dino, they do not affect your dino 100% when you're fighting the bosses when you do Control C. It's always something to keep in mind to use when you're doing boss fights with Celestials. That's why Celestials are considered the best for boss fighting. Um, and yeah, just basically looking for all the X's here. Now, if you go over here to where it says the scroll up here to the Dino tag. Dino tag is very useful, as well as the Dino entity ID. The Dino tag is what you're going to need for when you're doing your spawns. So you remember how we went over to the spawn balancing code and you saw all these like PF Alpha Allo and PF Alpha Anki? Well, if you wanted to find out a spawn code and you couldn't figure out, oh, well, there's not listed here. Why is it not here? Well, there's a simple fix. You could just go to the Dino tag and look for the Dino tag right here that I've listed all down here, and just look for the tag and then post it right inside there, and just use the same code. Another thing I suggest too is that if you can't find the spawn balancing code, if you can't find the weight multiplier, this link, which I'll post inside the bottom of this video, is very useful. I really strongly suggest that if you're new to building a server or making a server for people, please read this document. It has everything you need to know about making a server. Like, there's so many different things on here that I never even knew they worked, and for a very long time, until I've read every single thing in this document. This basically tells you everything you need to know about running a server, how the command lines work, how what's the difference between the game user settings.ini and the game.ini. It tells you everything you need to know about all the different settings that Arc gives you, and it's at your disposal. One of the main ones that people don't realize, though, too, is that it also has, right at the very bottom here, it also has, here we go, creature spawn related stuff. if you wanted to get rid of a dino, which a lot of people keep asking all the time, you want to look for this line called NPC replacements. When you use this line, you could basically replace any NPC, any dino you want to another dino, or you can replace it with nothing. So an example would be, um, let's take this line right here. So let's say, oh yeah, I'm really annoyed with this Mega Raptor. It's a piece of crap. It's bugging me. It's annoying as heck, and I just can't stand it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna want to go on a brand new line on your game.ini. You're gonna paste that in there. Obviously, I could see that there's an error already on this. You got to make sure there's no spaces, so they still need to update their thing. But anyways, you delete that space right in between there. And let's say I don't want more dodos. I do not want more. I just want to just take them out of the game completely because I don't want the dodos to be taking over more spawns. So what I'll do is I'll delete the dodo and leave the quotations like this, and that will actually disable any dino you have. This will work the same way with Primal Fear. If you go back into here and you go to your dino tags, you look at your dino entity IDs right here. That's what you're looking for when you're wanting to replace a specific dino. One of the ones that people complain about the most are usually the explosive dodos and the tarantulas. They're all right here, written right below. So Kamikaze, Nuka, the tarantulas are all right down there. So let's say, oh, I'm pissed off with these dodos. I really can't stand them. Blah blah blah. Which, quite frankly, I love them. They are my favorite dino. Um, so what I'll do is I'll put this line right in here, and I'll put in the Kamikaze Dodo character BP Child C. And then that way it'll disable the dodo completely from your thing. But also, in turn, I do strongly suggest you check the game user settings.ini that Pikkon has given us. And if you look right here, there's a prevent the kamikaze dodo spawn equals false. How does that work, you ask? Well, you got to post this in your game user settings.ini. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you got this tag right here at the top. If you don't have this tag, the game will not know what you're trying to tell it. So right here is a game user settings that I have set up right here. I'm going to scroll down and see if I have Primal Fear on here. I have my Structures Plus on here with all the stuff here. I've got Upgrade, I've got Augment, I've got Archmatic, Archaic Ascension. Let me just double check. No, it doesn't look like I have Primal Fear on here. So if you don't have Primal Fear on there, all you got to do is you just paste that one line of Primal Fear with the brackets. And then right underneath it, you're going to go to prevent Kamikaze Dodo spawn equals false. You're going to copy that. And then you're going to go up to here. Oh, wrong thing. This one here. And you're going to go to your Primal Fear with the brackets. You're going to paste that in there. Prevent Kamikaze Dodo spawn, and you want to change that from false to true. Once you put that in, that should prevent any Kamikaze Dodos from spawning in. If you do that, plus the game.ini, which I just showed you how to get rid of in the NPC replacements, there should be no Kamikaze Dodos spawning at all. If for some reason they're spawning in and all that, please send us a mod help or a bug report inside our Discord, and we will have a look at it. But for the most part, that should disable all of it. I have not seen any issues with it before. I have not heard of any issues, but that's how we do it here. Okay, so that basically ends up from there. And then if you look through the game user setting any codes here that he has posted here, basically you have full option to change anything you'd like that is listed right here. Just keep in mind that the Primal Fear stuff, you have to keep all the stuff that's underneath Primal Fear together. With the Primal Fear boss expansion, it's the same thing. You got to keep all that stuff underneath that bracket for it to work. And this, you can change any of the weight multiplier, stamina, health. He's put on every single option that I've never seen a Dino mod with that many options in terms of changing all the multipliers to whatever you would like. The aberrations, same thing. You want to put it right underneath there, and you can change it to whatever you like. And the noxious creatures, which I need to make it very clear that the noxious creatures are not part of the expansion of Primal Fear. It's a separate dino mod completely. Do not add that mod with Primal Fear unless you are wanting more noxious creatures, because noxious creatures will actually take over Primal Fear itself in terms of spawns. That includes any other dino mod that's in there for that matter, which includes Arc Eternal, Pugnacia, Extinction, Ananuki. There's a whole bunch of other ones that are out there too. Gaia. Not that I'm saying that it's a bad thing to mix them. You go ahead and mix them if you like, but in terms of spawns and stuff, you're gonna have to figure out how to change them and bring them back up in terms of if you want a certain amount of Primal Fear dinos with the other dino mod you want. The reason for this is that Primal Fear is not a core mod, which means it adds dinos in there. So if there's other dino mods in there, they per se they take up more of the spawn codes or spawn containers than what Primal Fear would take. Not that they take it up or anything. It's just that's just how Arc works. Um, I do strongly suggest playing Primal Fear on its own, because there's a lot already in as its own identity in there. But if you're bored and you want to mix it up, feel free to. But just be careful to not overspawn dinos, because you could potentially crash your server if you have too many dinos in your server. So keep that in mind. Um, yeah, and then another thing to note, I know that there's a spawn config tool that's all posted here from Twisted Modding, and I am aware that it's not working, but I'm doing this tutorial video so I could show you how easy it is to change all these numbers without actually using a tool. I get that it's a lot of work, blah blah blah. I know, I understand that, but I've done all of my changes all through just copy pasting of those numbers. And trust me, once I had the whole file posted to the way I liked it, it was worth it. It's definitely worth doing. Um, Another thing I want to discuss was the S Plus Primal Fear polling system tutorial. I've had people ask me before, well, how does this work? How can I get it to work and all that with the S Plus config code? Well, it's pretty simple. So here's where Orion Sun posted his config settings for all of his stuff for Structures Plus. It's the same thing. You post this inside your your games user settings.ini. You make a separate line that says Structures Plus, and you just copy paste that whole line in. You don't have to have everything in there. You could have just this bracket right here, and you can have where is it now? It's located. Oh yeah, pull resource additions. You want to have that line and that line in there. So once you post that in there, I did say in the doc to post everything just to make it easier. You don't need to post that everything, but sometimes people like to look at it and go, "Oh, I didn't know I could change the slot count for beer barrels, which means I can have, instead of 25 slots available in my inventory, I can now change it to 50 to 100 to 500 to up to 1,000. Um, I When it comes to these things, I was reading the doc here to not go over 1,000, because 1,000 apparently bugs the game. So try to keep it at 1,000 or below in terms of slots. And the same thing goes with crafting. I never realized that you could actually change the crafting speed on here, and I was like, wow, that's pretty neat and nifty. So you can change all the crafting speed on there. But anyways, so let's go back to the Primal Fear with the additional resource additions. So you wanna pull the resource additions equals and keep that on your game user settings.ini. I'm gonna call it the gus.ini, GUS. Um, so once you have that in there, I'll show you what I have here. So this is my I'll scroll up. This is my structures plus right here. So I have the structures plus right down here. And then I go down all the way to the pull resource additions, which I posted here. And all you would need to do is, let's go back to the, here we go, to here. You want to take this line and you want to copy paste this whole line. You could just go like this and scroll down like that. Don't copy the 16. then you'll just want to go Control C and copy that. And then you want to go to your game user settings. You want to paste this whole line in. This line will include all the feathers, all the blood, anything that's primal fear, narcotics, everything that's in there for resource pulling. And it doesn't just work for polling, but it also works with the S Plus dedicated storages, which is very handy if you want to like put your blood in dedicated storages and you can see how much blood you actually are collecting instead of it collecting all into a fridge. It's very handy to have this tool. It's very handy for you to like go back and forth and craft stuff on the go and on the fly. It makes things so much easier, makes life so much better. So yeah, I do strongly recommend trying this out and putting this in there. If there's any questions or issues, you can always talk to us on the Discord. We're more than happy to help you and try to answer your questions. Yeah, but basically that's just a quick overview on the spawns and everything like that, because I get that question every single day. How do I get my game spawns to work? My spawns are not working. I can't get this to work. I can't figure this out. Blah 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 blah. I understand that. I understand it's a pain in the butt, and I get that it's a lot of numbers and it's holy crap, it's too much to deal with. But remember, you only need to deal with is spawn weight multiplier and the spawn limit percentage. That's it. You don't need to touch anything else. So you can just take it, copy paste this whole thing in there, and you just have to change this little number right beside the equals. Just again, remember no spaces and make sure there's no spaces in any of your code. Obviously, there is some spaces in some of it that, as you can see right here, which I will fix. But for the most part, yeah, that's basically it. That's all you need to worry about is just make sure that the numbers all line up and everything's in there. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an understanding of how that works, and I hope I helped you in understanding how that all works together. Anyways, take care and have a good day.